Good afternoon, guys and gals, and welcome back to the channel. Today we take a deep dive into the most common myths about silver stacking. Now I will preface this by saying this is from a UK perspective and everything is entirely subjective. So let's dive in. Myth number 1. All silver coins are treated the same for tax. So the myth is that it doesn't matter what kind of silver you stack, silver is silver. But the UK government has other plans, and here in the UK we have got something called capital gains tax. So that means that all investment silver is subject to a 20% VAT on purchases, unless it's bought through a special VAT exemption scheme or like bonded storage. So, what is capital gains exempt? Looking down at these lovely coins in front of me, I've got some examples here. What would be classed as capital gains exempt would be this lovely coin here. This is a Britannia. So this is minted by the Royal Mint and has a face value of £2. Now when it comes to capital gains, if you're stacking and hoarding lots of these, when you come to sell them, they are exempt from the tax. However, looking at other coins, such as this lovely kangaroo from Australia, or the silver eagle from the US, technically when you sell this you should be paying 20% tax on it. Lovely. So, top tip for this. Stick with UK coins if you're stacking for long-term capital gain. But if you're like me and love all things shiny, stack what you like. If you want generic rounds, want some maples, even some old constitutional silver, a nice crown or a peace dollar, stack what you like. Myth number 2. Buying the cheapest per ounce silver is always the best. So the myth being lower premium equals better deal. Generally that sounds amazing. Why pay more when you can get the same amount? In reality, lower premiums often mean less liquidity and a higher resale difficulty. So what does that mean for us here in the UK? Looking at Britannias, these tend to fetch a better price when you come to resell them, and these are more trusted by dealers. Now, that is entirely subjective. Everybody loves a bit of shiny, and when it comes to selling things, you have to take into other factors such as collectability, numismatic value, etc. So, the tip here is to balance premium versus liquidity. Recognisable coins are easy to sell at the end of the day. Everyone knows what a Britannia is. Not everybody knows what a generic round is, and may be suspicious of it. Myth number 3. Silver coins will always increase in value. So the myth here is silver is a guaranteed hedge and prices will only go up. Now in reality, silver, like all things, is volatile and moves with industry demand, inflation and speculation. Now we've seen something similar here quite recently due to tariffs by a certain orange man. Silver took a bit of a tumble. However, this has quickly regained in the last few days. So prices can stagnate, they can fall. Sometimes premiums can widen, and sometimes they can shrink, and coins can end up being worth less than you paid. So, pro tip here is to stack with a long-term view. Treat it as a store of value and not a guaranteed profit vehicle. Myth number 4. All silver coins are good for emergencies and bartering. So the myth here being that silver coins are perfect for crisis scenarios or barter. In reality, this is purely speculative. It really depends on the societal norms in a real crisis. So, small denominations, such as a 1/10 of an ounce, or even junk silver, like this sterling crown here, might be more practical. Most people might not recognise or accept silver in a real crisis situation, let's be honest. Legal tender coins, such as the Britannia here, might be more trusted. It is widely more known in the UK than, say, a Canadian maple, a US eagle, or even a generic round. So the tip here is keep this idea as a secondary benefit and not the main reason why you're stacking. Myth number 5, numismatic coins are better because they're rarer. So the myth here is older or rarer coins equals better investment. So in reality, you pay a premium that's not tied to silver content. Perfect example of this would be a shilling. Now, this is a 50% one from 1946. It's all I had on hand here, but just to demonstrate a point, you're not paying spot price or a small premium on these. You're paying for the numismatic and intrinsic value here, as opposed to purely a bullion coin where you're paying for the silver content plus premium. And when it comes down to things like crowns or peace dollars, the price is purely dealer driven. Prices go up and down, supply and demand, mintage figures get taken into account, rarity, you name it. There's different factors as opposed to here's a bit of silver, here's a premium, get on with it. And when it comes down to an emergency, say you need to liquidate your stack for upcoming payments, bills, etc., you're more likely to be able to sell this easier than you would be to sell this. Top tip would be treat numismatics as a hobby and avoid it unless you know the market or you're collecting for fun. I like both. I like both bullion, I like both numismatics. You know, it's a varied variety. Myth number 6. 4 nines is better than 3 nines. Now, let's be honest, guys. This is a market employee. This here's an ounce of silver, and this here's an ounce of silver. This is 4 nines, this is 3 nines. At the end of the day, this one weighs a slight percentage heavier than this one. You're getting an ounce of silver. Doesn't matter what else is mixed in with it. It's a market employee. And I see so many new stackers saying, well, that's got 4 nines, so that's better than this. It's not always the case, guys. At the end of the day, you'll pay the same amount for this as you will for this. And when you come to sell it, you'll get the same amount of money for this as you will for this. At the end of the day, this is just the Canadian Mint doing a marketing flex. So guys, to sum up, looking at these coins here from a UK perspective, the clear winner would be the Britannia. Now this is capital gains exempt, often with a lower premium. It's got a higher liquidity, and in times of financial need, you can get rid of these pretty easily, as opposed to generic rounds, which may require testing, investigation. Not many dealers know what this particular round is, as opposed to a Britannia, which also has the benefit of a security mark. But at the end of the day, we're all lovers of all things shiny. On the fence with this one. Yes, capital gains does come into factor, but at the end of the day, I love all things shiny, and I'm going to keep collecting all things shiny. Now, if, like me, you love all things shiny, please come along to Stacker Social. Scan the QR code, come along. It's a Discord group with a lovely bunch of guys and gals who love all things shiny. Come along, introduce yourself, and you'll receive a warm welcome. Now, let me know what you think of the video, if I've been waffling on too much. If you've learned something today, or I've raised a point which you disagree with, please reach out to the comments below and I'll get back to you. Until next time, peace.